Us. Good afternoon. Mr. Robert John McBride and Advocate Aransa. It is now 14 hours. We want to listen to you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. Good afternoon. Mr. McBride, we've now dealt with your entry into IPED. The first was, as it were, storm you walk into. There is the rendition case. As a result of that, you get suspended. You take that to court, and now you resume work in the same position at IPED, and that's at paragraph 12 of your statement. You remained in that position until the 28th of February 2019.
Correct.
Now, what I want to go to is to deal with what happens post that. And in this regard, I want to ask you to turn to page 15, paragraph 57.
Okay.
Shortly after your return to IPED in October 2016, Mkhwanazi, who was acting in my position whilst I was in suspension, did not return to work. He was transferred by Minister Nhleko and Shlemeza without consulting me as the head of IPED and without a handover report from Mkhwanazi, sorry. Can you just give us a bit more background on what happened there, and who are we now hear for the first time the names of Shlemeza and Mkhwanazi?
So in the aftermath of Ramat being suspended and not coming back to work, threats and pressure pushed on him.
May you please get the microphone to your mouth.
In the aftermath of Ramat being suspended and not coming to work because of a number of threats against him, and Shlemeza was put in his place as acting. That is, Shlemeza was in the Limpopo province, and then he was made head of now GPCI. And so when I was reinstated by the Constitutional Court gave Parliament 30 days to deal with my matter so that I face accountability. After 30 days were up, I went back to work. On arriving at work, I sought to speak to Mr. Mkhwanazi to be able to get a handover report, what has been taking place. Mkhwanazi didn't return to work ever again. He got transferred to GPCI first. And then he was needed to make a statement And because DPCI investigative oversight still falls under IPID, he then jumped from IPID to CIRA. So, and then he eventually landed up not long after that in the Free State in Mangaung to try and establish a metropolis there. So that's what he sent there. And the last I heard from him was that he was assaulting the city manager or something at Mangaung. A video on TV or something was doing around.
Okay, so he disappears from the scene.
Yes,
Okay.
it disappeared.
And then we also see at paragraph 58 that on the 1st of November, as with Ramat and Sabia, the case against you was withdrawn. And you comment there that what is interesting is that the same prosecutors who had insisted on prosecuting you were now saying in their own internal memorandum that there was no evidence against you.
So, yes, sir. So already early in June or July, an internal memo indicated that they were aware that the first reports were incomplete because the cell phone, and this is critical, this distinction. Cell phone records mean nothing on their own. So an analysis report is what gives you the information of who was where, when, at which tower. And that was a report that was missing, that was not attached to the docket. They admitted themselves, yet Tory Pretorius and Advocate Mohammed decided to go ahead with the prosecution in spite of knowing that the case is not prosecutable. So they wanted to postpone the case when we arrived, but we insisted we want to plead. And he consulted with Tory Pretorius. It was quite embarrassing. I almost said holding his head like a headless chicken, but it's mixing metaphors there. So there was no case, and they didn't allow us to plead, because if you allow to plead and there's no evidence, it's a permanent acquittal. But they didn't allow us that. And similarly, Ramat and Sabia later on won the case against that. I think Cowboy continued to be prosecuted, Cowboy Malele. So it's clear that there was connivance between the minister's office and the prosecuting authority, because one of the report that the minister used to kind of find fault with us was a January report, which obviously Mosing had given him because Mosing had it from Cuba. So there was, my own view is that the decision was to get rid of Dramat. And there's lots of speculations about that, but Sibia fell in the middle. Sibia just fell in the middle because someone had a bone to pick with him. And we were the ones who refused to recommend prosecution once we had received the new evidence through a completely different light on the matter.
Okay, if I may proceed, then onto under this subheading of infiltration of IPID by crime intelligence from paragraph 59 onwards.
Yes, sir.
Upon you, yeah, paragraph 59.
So upon my return in October 2016, I was alerted to irregularities and how investigations had been conducted during the time when I was on suspension under Mr. Khamenyani. There were allegations that certain cases have been investigated by the IPID had been prematurely closed without carrying out proper investigation process as contained in the standard operating procedures. Part of the problem was due to infiltration by crime intelligence in the form of Brigadier Tlo Kgomo, who had been appointed at IPED as a director of investigations, but took over Sissoko's position while Sissoko was suspended, acting as overall national head of investigations. So Kgomo left IPED when I returned. I actually met with him and asked him, it was him and another officer, what is your role here in IPED? How did you come here? And he couldn't give an explanation properly and then didn't come back. I next saw him in Parliament together with Patlani's team defending Patlani. So it was a strange situation. I even mentioned to the chairperson, that there's Kgomo there, appointed to him, sort of behind me at top left-hand corner. He was in IPED and disappeared and went straight into a job in crime intelligence. So what was he doing at IPED? And there was another one, an officer there, which, if necessary, I'll talk about that afterwards. So to me, it was clear it was a stitch up, and who knows how many others are there, but it's an old practice of disruption, sow suspicion, buy off witnesses, buy off investigators. You know, I think I watched a bit of Patlani, yeah, and he talks about Stratcom. That's the old Stratcom of, you know, security branch. Do it like that. They disrupt, they bribe, they cause suspicion, find comrades kill each other because someone whispered something about them. The same kind of mentality was put against us. At the end of my affidavit, I deal with some recommendations about the mandate of counterintelligence of crime intelligence. And the specific mandate that's given to them, which is on counterintelligence, is that they must deal with their own members, not other, not society. That is for state security. With defense, they deal with the soldiers who are up to no good. Now, what business does crime intelligence have infiltrating other departments of the state or spying on politicians or trying to be of use to politicians? Once a guy owns you, he owns you. You have to do his bidding, you have to give him a position. And that's where the problem comes. So crime intelligence and the control of that fund makes crime intelligence people invincible. And they start to manipulate. And we've seen it with loads of issues. That's what they do. And that's, I would appeal to the legislators, the representatives of the people to correct that as quickly as possible or provide clarity on that, because I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but ultimately that's what it is. Kgomo had no reason why he should be an IPED. So Kgomo also plays a role during Zondo Commission. He has been recorded now telling the late Mandla Mahlangu, may his soul rest in peace, that he must make up stories against Sissoko and me. He must find something and he will get promotion, and you mustn't worry. And it comes a lot of times. It comes to Kuba, it comes to twice to Kuba. They use carrot and stick. They first expel him, and then they try and tempt him with promotions in SAPS. So this fluidity of moving from one organization to another without any accountabilities is a problem, because they use it as inducement, as gratification. And I'll come later to that when we deal specifically with Cedric Ngabinde. and how the way the system is applied works, works really wrongly here.
Can we, because we reference a statement by,
Before we proceed, may
Right.
we please take Honorable James and Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. McBride, you're sharing very interesting information. Sorry to interject. You are saying, just clarity, you are saying crime intelligence and counterintelligence, two separate departments, right? And you are saying that the mandate, if I understood you correctly, you are saying that the mandate of counterintelligence is to investigate their fellow SAPS members. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am, they form part of the same department.
Okay.
So there'd be a collection, which is the collection of intelligence related to criminal activity, and then a counter, which is involved supposedly in terms of that Act of 94. So I don't want to get it wrong, Chair, again. The wrong
Sorry,
one, but
Mr. McBride, let me just finish my question and then you can answer me. So counterintelligence, in my understanding, you're correct when you say, I also have that understanding that it's a department mandated to investigate members within SAPS. And then we have this task team that was formed, that's been part of this committee, the work that we're probing, counterintelligence that was established. So we had PKTT and the other task team was counterintelligence. And you just said now that counterintelligence has no business investigating other cases that involve sort of civil society. Did I hear you correctly?
that's correct, ma'am.
So you're saying that the counterintelligence that was composed of General Khumalo and others that was investigating the likes of Kat Matlala, they had no business investigating that cartel?
Honorable member, there is collections
you,
that
Chair.
do it, which is a much bigger department than counterintelligence, which is there specifically for the criminals. That is crime intelligence overall. There's a collection section and an analysis section. Their job is to collect evidence, to run operations on criminal activity. But the counterintelligence part is to look at when their own members get compromised by the criminal networks or by criminals. That's the job, to keep, as it were, the water pure. So it's not crime intelligence, it's counterintelligence people who must deal with civilians and other departments. It's a collection section. And they have a big budget for it to run that. So to put it under counterintelligence, I think is acting out of their mandate, in my opinion. So that needs to be clarified and fixed. It can't be willy-nilly. So defense intelligence is about, defense intelligence, counterintelligence is about soldiers. And with civilians, the agency, state security must deal with civilians who are unpatriotic. Sometimes they can do joint operations. The counterintelligence of the two services, but they have a big collection section which deals with collection on intelligence on criminals. That is crime intelligence's collection section.
Honorable James, what is the answer to your question?
I'm settled, I'm covered. Thank you, Chair. I understand. I just needed to understand the difference and the mandate of the different departments, units within SAPS. Thanks.
Okay. Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. I just want clarity from Mr. McBride, our witness here. What is the name of Mkhwanazi?
Israel, Ketsabai.
What is it?
His first name is Israel, his second name is Ketsabai.
Igitsamaya. Oh, okay, because when I look here, I've tried to look for it and I could not get the name correctly. So he was when you said here, when you arrived, he left.
Yeah, so he was there already. He was the provincial head of Free State. And in fact, at some stage, he was put in a task teams again, for Marikana investigation before I arrived. And, but when I was on suspension, he was put in my place to act as executive director. And the moment when I returned, he didn't come to work again.
So in other words, you are saying he was seconded because you say he was based in Free State, am I right?
Well, he was a provincial head of IPID in Free State.
And then he came to act.
In my position, yes.
Yeah, hence I'm saying he was seconded because he was a provincial head, am I right?
He was substituting whilst I was on suspension.
Yeah. So thank you, Chair. It will come when we have questions. Thank you, Chair.
That's it.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted some clarity on the spear and Dromat, whether the spear that we're talking about here is the same as General Spear that actually was here before.
Yes, Honorable Mwangwe, it's General Shadrach Sibia.
Is him the severe that you know, Honorable Mnwango?
Well, it would appear it is the same spear that I know.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much. Let's proceed, Advocate.
On crime intelligence and alleged infiltration by crime intelligence. Can I refer you to the evidence, the affidavit or statement of
Advocate Arens and Mr. McBride. I'm bringing this information to your attention that the people of South Africa say they want to hear you
hear me?
when you speak, both of you.
Mr. McBride, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
On the infiltration by crime intelligence, may I refer you to the sworn statement of Mandla Gekiso Mashlangu, which is at page 66 of the annexure of the bundle. It's annexure RJM3A.
Yes, sir, I have it.
It's dated the 25th of May 2018. Just before we go into the contents of that affidavit, what happened to him?
Well, I will come to it later, but Mandla had faced a number of threats. And in short, he was murdered. He was murdered after he made a particular statement incriminating one of the people who testified here.
Has his murder been resolved? Has anyone been brought to account?
In my view, partly, 2 suspects were arrested, prosecuted successfully. In the testimony, they said police paid them to commit the murder.
Okay. You don't have a exact reference of that?
No,
Is that
I
we
don't
could
have it. It
perhaps-
was kept so quiet in the media at that stage. It was just closed at that stage.
Now, if we go to page 66,
Yes, sir.
you'll see there that he says that he was the principal investigator of IPID then, and that he was the former lead investigator in the case involving General Pashlani relating to a charge of fraud, corruption, and money laundering, and hence his involvement. My colleague, Advocate Mkhwanazi, is going to deal in a bit more detail with the Paslani and Kabinde matters. But I just want to focus on the other allegations. In paragraph 4, he says, during the month of March 2018, I was approached by a member of crime intelligence who requested to see me in connection with recruiting me to SAPS. And I remember very well because I also recorded the meeting. The recording was also transcribed and it's annexed to his affidavit. The person who called me was Brigadier Khomo, who was previously a member of the IPID. He promised me a brigadier position in the SAPS, in crime intelligence, and indicated that it is facilitated at the highest level in the police. There are a number of subsequent calls, which one of them was recorded after the initial recording and will also be attached after they have been transcribed. I have then informed Nkabinde about me being approached by the crime intelligence, and he told me that he was also approached. He further said to me, we rather go and work for SAPS because we are not appreciated at IPID. After I was approached by Brigadier Khomo, I informed Mr. Sissoko, the National Head of Investigation, and the Executive Director, Mr. McBride. I also want to respond in my statement to a letter of April 2018 that's relating to Nkabinde, which my colleague will also deal with. So just to pause there, Mr. McBride, this approach to the late Mr. Mashlangu, and he also alleges that Nkabinde was approached by Brigadier Khomo and that he conveyed this to you and to Mr. Siseko.
That's correct, sir. Indeed, he did.
What was your response? What was your reaction?
I then called a meeting with the task team because I had been receiving quite a lot of reports that this was taking place, to ascertain how we can mitigate the situation, how we can salvage it. And I asked everyone to acknowledge that they were approached and an improper offer was made. And Manda stood up and he acknowledged he was approached. He says, by who? Nkabinde didn't stand up. Cedric didn't stand up at all. And yet there's quite a lot on Cedric already, who is meeting with. At that stage, Cedric had been meeting with suspects already. And later on, he gets suspended and all of that. But at this stage, March, so in January, he meets with a number of suspects who are co-defendants, if I can use that word, with Paslani at the moment. But he was meeting him for no apparent reason. And in a run-up to July, where he deposed a statement in support of Paslani, he was meeting with Paslani. And the actual places where they meet, I think, might be in the bundle. But that's going to form part of evidence which Paslani has to answer for. In any event, they met regularly, and they also met with Paslani's lawyer. And then he started countering. And one must bear in mind, and I'll talk to it later, lead investigator on the Paslani matter was Cedric Nkabinde himself. So this 180 degrees is very strange setup. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast.
I think if you don't mind, if you could just flag it.
Okay,
and
sir.
pause there on that. I just want to deal with this issue. If you go to page 537, that is the affidavit of Mr. Mashlangu, and then he attaches it's not quite there, the recordings that he refers to. And this affidavit, I don't know if you can help us. I see it's filed in that case number. Pretoria Central case number. Can you see that at 537?
1 second, sir. Okay, I have it. Yes, I see it, sir. He's confirming the transcribed version of the conversation that he had with Homo, which he refers to earlier.
Okay.
And that was for the transcribers to, I think, identify the speakers.
And then there's a handwritten affidavit. That's part of the, looks like the criminal docket. At 539 at the top, you can see that he talks about recording the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, sir, during Zondo Commission, for example, the live recording, the audio was played before Judge Zondo. So it was played for them to hear. And having interacted with Homo, it was clearly his voice, in addition to what the transcribers confirmed.
And on page 540, there's a list of questions which may be of much interest to honorable members of the committee. Who would have asked those questions?
So this was what Homo and Nube from Mabula team asked to Mandla in the presence of Mashuka, and also indicated that the statement must answer these questions, and where there was no answer or not a likelihood, they must create an answer. So that's what I understand from this. That's the purpose of this. So this was done between crime intelligence, Mube, and Mashuka, the prosecutor who's now retired. Funny enough, when I had to testify in a case where he was the prosecutor, he then resigned and no longer prosecuted the case.
Chair.
And-
Sorry. I don't know what's the fight between Mr. McBride and the mic. There seems to be a serious war between him and that mic. You see, it's looking on the other way, and he's looking on the other way. Can you mind your mic, please, Mr. McBride? If we are struggling to hear Tina in the chamber, how much to those who are listening from home?
Okay.
Please do with that. Thank you.
Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, very well.
Thanks.
Yeah, Mr. McBride, this is the last time we talk about the microphone.
Sorry, sir, just on that. If I make a mistake on the microphone and I'm turning away, what happens then? I just want to be clear about this, sir.
The chairperson is saying this is the last time we talk about the microphone. And what the chairperson is saying is that look at Advocate Arendse and proceed.
Understood, sir.
May I proceed, Honorable Chair? Thank you. Just on the crime intelligence aspect still, can I ask you to go to Annexure RJM 3 small b, which is on page 107? That is an affidavit by Ambulani Innocent Kuba. What 107? This is an affidavit he deposed to, is that, it can't be, it says 16 January 2026. Or it must be 2016.
It's 2016.
26. Oh, is it this year?
Yeah, so he confirmed a previous,
Yeah, this is the
unsigned one.
Sorry, at 109. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
at 109. Thank you.
We confirmed the previous unsigned one, which was submitted to some investigation carried out by Zondo Commission. So in which the signed version is with the Zondo Commission.
So at 107, is this the same Kuba who had also done the
Rendition.
March rendition report?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he says that in October 2020, I deposed to an affidavit providing details on the meeting between Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi and I, which was arranged by General Nematanzela of Crime Intelligence. The affidavit was drafted through the help of Advocate Ali SC, who was at the time assisting the Zondo Commission. And the attached draft unsigned is attached as HK1. That's the one that starts at 109. I think 108 is missing from the bundle. Have you got 108?
I have 108 is where the 16th of January 2026 one commissioned, yeah.
And it's in the soft copy. And he says on 23 October 2020 at 1953, Advocate Ali sent an email containing 2 attachments of the affidavits drafted during our consultation, which took place the same month. These draft affidavits had no material differences except that the other was refined and had extensive track changes in which Advocate requested me to attach proof or provide clarity. The affidavit was subsequently signed during our follow-up consultation. So he says, presumably when you tried to obtain this affidavit, they was unable to locate the signed copy.
The signed copy, yes, indeed. That's why there was a request that he must confirm this is the one he deposed.
So at 109, he says at paragraph 3, I have made 2 statements in the investigation of a criminal case against former National Commissioner of the SAPS, Lieutenant General Pashlani, and he cites the Pretoria Central case number. The present affidavit must be read in conjunction with those statements. In February 2018, I received several telephone calls from Major General Nematanzela of Crime Intelligence. He stated that he wanted to introduce me to a person in Sandton who had information relating to, and there's is that omission there, is that intentional? Relating to, there's a space. You don't know what that refers to. He says, I knew General Nematanzela because I had previously obtained a statement from him when investigating the rendition matter. I agreed to the meeting but did not want to meet in Sandton. I suggested that the meeting take place in Pretoria. General Nematanzela provided me with the details of the venue, which turned out to be a 5-star hotel past Menlyn. I don't recall the name of the hotel, but I'll find the name for you because I recall where it was. I traveled to the venue together with 2 of my IPID investigators, Mr. Matlakeng and Mr. Gibson. We had some difficulty locating the venue. I received several calls from General Nematanzela to give me the directions. We kept getting lost. My cell phone records can be used to identify the date, time, and venue of the meeting. I eventually found the venue and then needed to phone Nebuchadnezzar to find out where he was in the hotel. He directed me to the lobby. It was dusk when I arrived. I imagine it was approximately 1800 hours. Gibson and Matlakeng remained in the vehicle while I went in to meet with Nebuchadnezzar and his anonymous witness. I did not tell him anything about what had been discussed in the meeting. Tell them, sorry. I went straight to Mr. Sissoko's office.
Sorry.
Nebuchadnezzar and I remained in the lobby while we waited for the anonymous witness. Sorry, at 110, eh? We had 110.
Yes, I have that.
Yeah. He was in telephonic discussion with the witness. In one of his discussions with this person, I recall him explaining that we, quote, we are already seated here waiting for you. Nebuchadnezzar and I had drinks, juice, while we waited for the anonymous witness. After one of his calls, Nebuchadnezzar said to me that we could go now. We took the lift and went to one of the floors. I do not recall which floor it was. When we got out of the lift, I saw Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. I immediately recognized him. I had interviewed him in the rendition matter. Mkhwanazi asked us to switch off our cell phones and to hand them to him. He took the phones and placed them in an adjacent room. Present in the meeting were General Mkhwanazi, Nebuchadnezzar, and me. I do not recall precisely how long the meeting lasted. I imagine it took approximately 1 to 1.5 hours. I was present in the meeting with Mkhwanazi and Nebuchadnezzar. Mkhwanazi started the meeting by talking about politics. He later explained that there were 2 IPID officials who had given Section 204 statements, Nkabinde and Mashlangu. 204 of the Criminal Procedure Act deals with witnesses who are themselves implicated in criminal wrongdoing, who have agreed to testify on behalf of the state against an accomplice. Mkhwanazi asked me for information that could implicate McBride in criminal wrongdoing involving Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. He wanted to know what they were involved in and how they were involved. I explained to him that I did not spend time with McBride socially and was accordingly not in a position to provide him with details of McBride's relationship with O'Sullivan. I should emphasize that no point did he suggest that I should lie. Mkhwanazi said I would have taken that I would be taken care of. That who held the post of chief director, which would be at the rank of Major General in SAPS, would be promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General, which was on the same rank as him. Mkhwanazi indicated that both Nkabinde and Mashlangu would also be promoted into higher ranks within the SAPS because of their cooperation. He explained that one of them had not yet signed. When I was leaving, he said I should think about it. He said he was meeting with Nkabinde and Mashlangu later that evening. I imagine that the meeting ended between 1900 or 2000. I traveled back to the office of Mr. Sissoko, who was waiting for me. We discussed a lot about whether it was true that these 2 IPID officials had turned Section 204. We got the sense that Mkhwanazi was trying to fish to get me to tell him what I knew. My sense was that he wanted to give the impression that he already knew that I should tell him, since the information would already be shared by my officials. I went to check at the hotel room of Nkabinde. I knocked on his door and he did not answer. I phoned Siseko and said he might be true. This might be true because Nkabinde was not there. We were staying in the same hotel. At 2400 hours or 1 o'clock in the morning, I heard Nkabinde returning to his room. I told myself I was not going to sleep until he returned. We had an adjacent room. I heard him enter the room and turn his TV on. I sent Sissoko a message saying he was just there. Mashlangu later told Sissoko that he had been approached. I think Sissoko and McBride, who were called into a meeting to find out if anyone was approached. Mashlangu confirmed that he had been approached, and he said he had been approached by Homo. I was expecting him to include Mkhwanazi, but he did not mention Mkhwanazi. On the one occasion, he got angry with me for mentioning Mkhwanazi because he made it clear that he was a family friend. He did not want to mention the name of Mkhwanazi. So this is still on the aspect of some influence by crime intelligence or alleged influence. We'll deal in more detail with Nkabinde. Now, the mention of General Mkhwanazi, is this the same as General Mkhwanazi, who made a media statement on the 6th of July last year?
Indeed, it's the same Mkhwanazi, yes.
Now, yeah, just on a personal level, you deal with General Mkhwanazi on page 7, paragraph 26.
One second, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you want to deal with that?
Yes.
You can read it into the record.
So paragraph 26 on page 27 of the affidavit. I'll now turn to General Mkhwanazi. I do not know General Mkhwanazi except I have previously encountered him in a meeting when former Minister Nkosinathi Nhleko introduced himself to the SAP senior management and the entities. So IPID, SIRA were regarded as entities. From memory, General Mkhwanazi was whining about not being given work and responsibility, and his whining was directed at National Commissioner Ria Piecha. From my time at IPID, I'm aware of an incident, it should be incidents, there's a few of them, where General Mkhwanazi played an undue and prosecutable role in trying to disrupt and scuttle IPID's investigation into General Patlani with Brigadier Klo Homo of Crime Intelligence and others. To that end, I attach an affidavit by Mashlangu, marked RJM 3A. Mashlangu's affidavit deals with his personal knowledge of interference by SAPS members. I pause to mention that Mashlangu was subsequently murdered in 2020 after filing this statement, which was also going to be used in a disciplinary proceedings against Homo. The only other time I got to hear about General Mkhwanazi's name is when IPID was investigating what we call IView 3 allegations of corruption in the procurement of bulletproof vests. The allegation was that the bulletproof vests procurement was inflated and there was a move to procure more vests at the same time as inflated prices. If I can just pause there to elaborate on something. General Mkhwanazi was a close friend of the Mashlangu family. He was very close to Mandla. They attended soccer matches together. And when Mandla was shot at the first time, after receiving all the threats, General Mkhwanazi was first on the scene. When Mandla was murdered at his small holding, The first person outside the small holding to be on the scene was General Mkhwanazi. Yet General Mkhwanazi does not mention or take the committee into confidence of completeness. He, in both this inquiry and the Madlanga, he understates his knowledge of Mahlangu. Furthermore, he does not attend the funeral of Mahlangu, even though he's a close family friend. So I find it a bit strange, but that's not the issue, really. I mean, it's that is clear. Everybody knows it. So Patlani and Mkhwanazi are very close. Mkhwanazi looked after Patlani, and in an attempt to disrupt the investigation. He was in HR. What's he doing? Inquiring about investigations.
Okay. Do you or did you know General Khumalo, Dumisani Khumalo?
No, I didn't know him at all. Didn't know him at all. The only instance where his name came up is the former mayor of Newcastle, Dr. Mahlaba, came to my office and complained that the then brigadier was harassing them and was torturing his bodyguards or something like that. And he wanted to complain about it. So the case was given to the same Mandla Mahlangu. And I didn't hear much about it, except last night I heard that there was some settlement between SAPS and Dr. Mahlaba. So Dr. Mahlaba was a high-profile person and the mayor of Newcastle, and later on became an MEC of 2 portfolios in KZN.
You refer to that at page 7 of your affidavit. You don't otherwise know General Khumalo, interacted with him?
No, I haven't. I don't really know him here, except from the complaint from Dr. Mahlaba. That's all. That's where I know him from.
And about the PKTT, you know about
I know nothing about PKTT. Let me just go further back. So the reason why we're here is according to terms of reference, the media conference on 6th of July last year, 2025, last year. Now, in that media conference, my name was not mentioned there. So for me, it was okay. I looked, I saw it's Mkhwanazi. Seemingly, he was unhappy about the closing of PKTT and also the arrest of General Khumalo. So later on in Madlanga, I don't think he mentions it again, but he drops it in passing, yeah, about iPad, about what he heard from Nkabinde. In other words, what Nkabinde told him. In other words, hearsay. And that opened the way for Nkabinde to come and testify. Yeah, the ad hoc committee. Nkabinde's testimony opened the way or the gap for Patlani to come in. So that's why I have to come here, because PKTT, I know nothing about it. I have left the criminal justice system in 2019, Chair.
Before we go to the PKTT, then we take Honorable Skosana, Honorable Nomval, Honorable Sango.
Thank you, Chair.
Wait, just a moment. And who else? Okay, it will be the 3 speakers.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask Mr. McBride, because I think he's told us just now to say Mandla, I think is it Mandla Mahlangu, was a friend to General Mkhwanazi. They used to go together to watch football games. And unfortunately, he was murdered. And General Mkhwanazi did not attend the funeral. And you mentioned another gentleman, you said General Mkhwanazi was the first one to be on the scene. Yeah, so what does that mean?
It's the same person.
For me, it's inconsistent with being a close friend to a person. You're on the scene when they are shot at and when they are murdered. You don't attend the funeral and you're supposed to be a close family member. So for me, it's inconsistent. So when you investigate anything, I was not investigating anymore. I was out of the criminal justice system. I noted because it's critical. It should have been mentioned there. So it was understated. So in the same way, Chair, as some of the aspects of my CV were understated, similarly, General Mkhwanazi should be stating how well he knew Mandla Mahlangu and that he was on the scene first on 2 occasions when Mandla was shot at, including the fatal one when Mandla was murdered. So that's what that means, Honorable.
So hence I was asking that, are you saying that General Mkhwanazi has got something to do with that? Of him, that person being shot, of him not attending the funeral?
I would say it's inconsistent, like I said earlier. I don't know whether he had something to do with it or not. There is a trail that leads back to police, but he is under-mentioning of his involvement and closeness. And the fact that he was on the scene, for me, is inconsistent. It needs to be looked at.
So you did attend the funeral of Mahlangu?
Yes.
So
Sorry?
you did attend that?
Yes, I spoke at the funeral.
Okay, so General Mkhwanazi was not there?
He was not there. Mzwaki Mbuli was there also. And by the way, Mzwaki was also close to Cedric, because when I attended Cedric's mother's unveiling, then Mzwaki Mbuli was there also in Kwamashu.
No, I think you are providing more details than is necessary. The honorable member was asking you about the shooting and the funeral. And I think you need to say it, Mr. McBride, that the name that you are mentioning of Mzwaki Mbuli is not in any way related to our proceedings. Can you say that?
Thank you, Chair. Except if I omitted it, some notable.
Unless you want to mention a list of other people who were there. You can imagine where he's sitting saying, but why am I being mentioned for being at the funeral?
Well, he is my friend. He can talk to me.
Yeah, I can also say they say that he's my friend and he did not expect you to mention that. Especially that it's only him alone in a list of many monarchs that could have been there.
Sir, I didn't want to run the risk of under-mentioning stuff when it was so obvious, and I thought it's important at the time I testified to that fact.
Yeah, I'm just saying that wherever he is, if he's following the proceedings, he must not be rattled and start to think maybe he can write to the committee and say, look, I was there just as part of those people who were going to pay their last respect. Because, or if I may ask you, by your recollection, how many people could have been there?
At the funeral? I'd say about 200 people.
Yeah.
Okay. Chair, I think I've traversed this matter because for me, I thought perhaps there's some insinuations without saying much about the matter, that the General Mkhwanazi he was the first there, he did not attend the funeral. Hence, I wanted the clarity. But
it's
thank you so
fine.
much. Thank you.
You have a full day tomorrow if you want to ask questions. I think this was just a clarity-seeking question, but that clarity ended up smuggling the name of Mzwaki Mvuli in it. Honorable Lovalo.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chair. I just want to be sure that I'm following the witness correctly for my records. So you said General Mkhwanazi came to the scene. Did he come in his official capacity or in his personal capacity to the scene? Did he go to the scene in his personal capacity as Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi or in his official capacity as General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, who's the commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal?
I don't know. He was in HR. I'm not sure what official capacity he has. He went there, as I assume, because he knew something had happened.
You mean he was in HR, he was not a police officer?
He was not an investigator.
I'm asking, was he a police officer at that time?
Yes, he was a police officer.
So on what capacity was he there? As a police officer or as a civilian?
I don't know. I was not on the scene. I
You don't know, or you heard?
Yes, yes.
So you rely on hearsay?
I rely on confirmed anecdotal evidence.
And then the last one, which I want to confirm, you are saying you only knew General Mkhwanazi in a meeting wherein he was complaining about not getting a job or not getting work. Is that correct?
Yes, and I qualified and say until his name comes up in the Kuba incident and the Mahlangu incident.
And then you further on, you further said that General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was a friend with Mahlangu. They used to attend matches together. Is
Yes,
that what you said?
they were very close.
How did you know? Because you are saying you only knew him in a meeting. So how did you know that he attended matches together? How did you see them?
Thank you. So Mandla himself came and told me. So after the investigation started and the so-called task team started investigating, a few months after, so Mandla received a threat. First, telephonically, SMS, he received two. One we traced back to crime intelligence floor. There was a repeater transponder on the floor of crime intelligence in Erasmus Kloof. But later on, early in 2017, Mandla called me, very worried and scared. He wants to meet me, but I must not come to his house. He must not come to my place. We must meet. And he gave me the spot, which is, I don't know if I should give all the details, Chair. So we met at a spot, which is a filling station. And then he told me he was approached by Mkhwanazi.
Can I disturb you a bit? Was that before a meeting where Mkhwanazi was complaining?
No, Mkhwanazi was early, 2014, when he was complaining. Nhleko was still there. Yeah, it was before when he was introducing himself. Should have been 2014, when the erstwhile comrade Nhleko was introducing himself.
So it was after the meeting?
Yeah, 2017, early 2017.
Okay, Chair, no, I will pursue it further during my time for asking questions. Thank you.
Oh, it's your Honorable Sangwan.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Sorry, Mr. McBride, I just want to, it's clarity seeking questions, really. These two affidavits, Mr. Mahlangu and Mr. Kuba, what was the purpose for which they were prepared? Was it for, sorry, there's just a lot of moving parts. So I know there was a defeating the ends of justice case. I know that there was a Zondo commission. So if you could just locate those two affidavits, and then I don't know if SC is still coming to this, but I also want to know what was then done by who after the affidavits were deposed. So what was the purpose of them? Thank you so much.
So my understanding, and I stand to correction, it's like 8 years ago. So it would have been to investigate a case of defeating ends of justice. That would be the competent or interfering with witnesses, intimidation. That's what I would imagine to be. But later on, it also became available in the Zondo Commission.
Sorry, what happened to the case of defeating the ends of justice?
I don't know. In 2019, I left and I wasn't sure what happened. Mandla was killed in 2020 early. So I think perhaps with him being murdered, it lost traction and momentum. And I'm sure it had an impact on the rest of the investigators in terms of fear.
Thank you very much. Maybe just a final one. This defeating the ends of justice case, is it linked to the cases that General Mkhwanazi is still to appear before court on? Was it the same matter?
Yeah, it's quite a range of matters. And the way I understand it from Mandla, it was just that Mandla must walk away. These guys are dangerous. So there's quite a range of cases against Mkhwanazi. Some haven't reached court yet. And some it's only becoming obvious what's going on now. But there are two cases, the case numbers we have here, and one is in October and one is in November. One runs a whole month, but they're set down for trial. So just, Mkhwanazi was arrested for one of them in 2019, just after I left. And I heard a statement, and I'm not here to talk about him. He's got cases to answer for. But he makes a statement, bring it on. But for the last 7 years, he's tried every trick in the book not to go to trial. So, like, bring it on and then duck and dive don't make sense. They're not together.
Angazita, I can see you are triggered.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just a small question. I just want to understand whether Mahlangu's murder was actually being investigated. If so, how far is that investigation? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhwanazi. So it was investigated. People were arrested. People said they were approached by a policeman at a taxi rank. They were given money. They were given details. And they killed a person, and that is Mandla. And I think they were sentenced to prison already. Yeah? So there was suspects, but it still doesn't make too much sense to me.
Well, thank you, Chair. In fact, I was hoping that I would hear some traces of General Mkhwanazi's name in the group of people who actually had been arrested on this case. Thank you.
So you confirm that the people who killed Mahlangu have been arrested?
Yeah, from media reports, yes. And they were convicted.
Welcome. Can we proceed, honorable members, or do we still have further questions for clarity? I see all of you are in agreement that we must proceed. Yeah. Senior Counsel, let's go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just to round up on the allegations about General Mkhwanazi, you also mention on page 8, paragraph 27, that the only time, so this is, or maybe explain to us, is this pure hearsay, or do you know a bit more about this allegation? It's in the second last sentence on page 8. The only other time I got to hear about Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's name is when IPID was investigating what we called I-View 3 allegation of corruption in the procurement of bulletproof vests. I think that case involves General Paslani.
It involves General Patlani. It involves a service provider called Ibenathan Kistia, who comes up a lot in IPID issues for corruption. He's a co-accused of Patlani in the I-View case on another matter. So it's not the bulletproof matter that's come to court here. It's a different matter. I think it's a matter where supposed technology was delivered and paid for, but it was not delivered ultimately. So Ibenathan Kistia forms part of a complaint which I sent to Inspector General of Intelligence, which was covered in the Zondo Commission when Dr. Dintwe was testifying. So, and which former Minister Bekitele used as one of the issues not to extend my contract. So there were two issues. Was Cedric's matter, which I will deal with just now, and also creating a story that I'm not to be trusted, which was a false story. And I even spoke to the then Minister of Intelligence, Minister Letsachiduwa, and she confirmed. And but a different version of it. But I have a copy of the report. It should be in the bundle of the complaint that I lodged about Kistia's role in which he played.
Yeah, the name is definitely on the in the criminal case and in the dockets. Lastly, as a matter of interest, do you know or do you have anything to do with Usimuzi Matlala, Bran Mkhwanazi? You know them? Have you
No,
had any
I've
interaction?
only heard of them in his inquiries. I don't know them, never seen them in my entire life. Don't know them.
You didn't see Bran Mkhwanazi at January 8th?
No.
And you've subsequently seen the letter from Minister Mkhunu of 31 December 2024, directing that the PKTT be disbanded immediately.
No, I didn't see the letter.
You've heard
I
about
heard about it in the media, but I didn't see a letter yet. I'm not involved in the criminal justice system.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm going to ask my colleague, Ms. Mkhize, to continue with the questioning in relation to Mr. Nkabinde and General Paslani. Thank you.
Can I give you a 10 minutes break? I hope it doesn't take you off form. Okay. 10 minutes break, honorable members.